the hardest part of that ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 146 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam and I'm joined today by Sam.
Hello, Adam.
By John.
Hi, guys.
And by Brett.
Hello.
And the reason why we are already laughing is because for the first time ever, we've realised in 146 episodes, I mean, maybe there's been other fuck-ups, we basically just had to start again. We recorded 3 minutes of this intro already. It all went terribly wrong. I basically lost the plot. The other three were giving me looks as if to say they were worried about me. Then Brett didn't press record at the right time. Just shows back-to-back recordings. It's not easy.
No, if any listeners have ever watched any of those bath salt videos, it was similar to that, really.
I was going to say, like, our podcast intro was booked like Raw.
Deary me. It's because, you know, back-to-back pods tried to mix it up. Never mix it up, guys. Always just stick to the format and do things how you usually do things. If you didn't listen to the last episode, it was, of course, our review of the first night of WrestleMania, aka WrestleMania Saturday. Maybe you only watched the second night of WrestleMania, so you've just tuned in for this pod. And that's fine. That is absolutely fine.
I think
That's a bad choice, I reckon.
It is a bad choice, but before I watched WrestleMania, I thought Night 2 was going to steal the show. I thought the card was super strong. I thought Night 1's card was kind of weak.
Well, I preferred Night 2, and we're going to get on to why.
Oh.
So, yeah, just before you come in here with all Night 1 was better. Yeah, I preferred Night 2.
I gave Night 1 9.5, guys. So
yeah. Yeah, if you missed that was
spoiler
the
alert.
If this is better, we're in trouble.
So, this episode will obviously be us discussing WrestleMania Sunday for 2021, WrestleMania 37, WrestleMania Night 2. That's kind of why I went a bit crazy in the lost tapes, which we will release when we finally get a Patreon, and people will be going crazy for the NFT of me fucking up that intro. We're going to talk about this show, the second part of WrestleMania for the year, after this.
Oh, wait a minute. No, Daniel Bryan's got Big Cass set up here on the apron. Hardest part of the ring. Oh man. My goodness.
WWE WrestleMania 2021 Night 2 happened on Sunday, April the 11th at the Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida. Apparently the attendance was identical to the night before. I call bullshit. Somebody walked in front of a bus on the way there, or was exactly, something that happened, or somebody sneaked in. There was discrepancies, I guarantee it. The hosts continue to be Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan and Bayley. If you want to hear how we feel about them, go back and listen to that other episode.
I would say they were more egregious on Night 2. I found them way more irritating.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the whole pirate thing didn't help.
Oh my god, no, that was awful.
Yeah, we got more Bayley stuff. We did get, of course, Bayley getting chucked down the ramp by the Bella Twins, which looked great. She sold that fantastically. Must be pretty crazy, like tossing yourself down a ramp.
It is.
Okay. The comms team, we had Michael Cole, of course. He has to do 2 3-hour shifts, poor guy. How does he cope? Joined by Corey Graves from Raw and Byron Saxton Samoa Joe from SmackDown, and the brand new Hall of Famer, JBL. You love JBL, John, right?
You know, we were watching this. My wife was asking, who's JBL? So I showed her like a 3-minute video on YouTube of his best clotheslines for a male, and that was enjoyable. And that's all I'm going to say on JBL.
JBL, the same person who in his Hall of Fame speech said, "I'm sorry for all the snowflakes I've offended." Just kidding.
Yeah. Perfect. Before we get to the card, we did, of course, I mean, we didn't touch upon this on the last episode, the video package, which was basically a carbon copy of last year's video package, where they kind of try and go all big, and then they get an English guy to come in and sort of take the mickey at how the American guy's doing the voiceover. Anyway, we got an identical video package again for Night 2. Can't they give us something else?
We've seen that video package now 4 times.
Yeah. Was it exactly the same? Was it actually identical?
Yeah, it was, and it was awful then, and it's awful now.
Why would you do that?
Why not? It's easy.
It's just so bad when a joke is repeated 4 times. So, on with the podcast.
We had Ashland Craft this time performing America the Beautiful. Which performance did you prefer, Sam? Ashland or BB? Did you watch either?
Didn't really watch either of them.
Yeah, I certainly skipped night 2 one.
I skip this on every WrestleMania. I cannot stand listening to American patriotism.
I just don't think America's that beautiful. I'm sorry, it's a very subjective thing. It's all
Once
right.
they get free healthcare, then we'll listen to America's a Beautiful. Until then,
Yeah.
not on this show.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of many more things I'd like them to do before
I
they
don't think-
deserve free healthcare.
I don't
Anyway,
think objectively any countries are very beautiful. Is that?
What?
That's a long conversation we could have that we don't need to
New
get
Zealand?
into.
Yeah, New Zealand does look pretty nice.
Okay, yeah, New Zealand. If they had sung New Zealand the Beautiful...
Ireland?
I don't know about Ireland.
There are lots of beautiful countries.
Well, there's a lot of ugliness in those countries, though.
Brett, name a beautiful country.
There we go.
The Seychelles.
Ooh. Actually, no, I've heard
the
some
Seychelles
horrific
even a
human rights
country?
stuff about Seychelles.
Oh, really?
But we're just talking aesthetically, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like the
Well,
whole...
no.
If we
spectrum of
you know,
stuff.
just like in all countries, just take out humans. Beautiful
Yeah.
country.
No, I'm not talking just aesthetically. I'm talking like the whole, the
Okay.
whole kit and
Package.
caboodle.
I take
Yeah.
back Ireland then. Anyway, let's talk about some wrestling. The card for night 2. Sam, take us through it.
All right, so we started off the card with Randall Orton versus The Fiend, accompanied by Alexa Bliss in... it just says here a singles match, but let's...
Yeah, it wasn't... There was no stip or anything like that.
No stipulation. It's just a regular Fiend red light match. Okay, we then moved on to...
I tell you what, you do a terrible job of not revealing your feelings about each single match when you read the card out.
I'm an
Come
expressive reader. I'm sorry. I'm going to now continue to do the card in the same style that Adam started this podcast with.
Deadpan.
Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalia and Tamina in a WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match.
This is great. I like this.
Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, accompanied by Logan Paul in a singles match.
Very charismatic.
Sheamus versus Riddle in a singles match for the WWE United States Championship.
Go on.
Apollo Crews versus Big E in a Nigerian drum fight for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley.
Oh, yes, he's done
She got me again.
Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley got me again.
Oh, dear.
Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. And your main event was Roman Reigns, accompanied by Jey Uso and Paul Heyman, versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Universal Championship.
Lovely. Perfectly read out. No idea how you feel about any of those matches. Well done. So we're going to talk about key matches first. We picked out 3 of them, and the first one is probably not one you'd necessarily think would be key, but I was keen to talk about it. It's going to be Randy Orton versus The Fiend. Then it will be the Raw Women's Championship match between Asuka and Rhea Ripley, and then the Universal Championship triple threat match. Of course, we're going to finish with that. So, Randy Orton versus The Fiend. I've decided to talk about this because I was saying how much I was not looking forward to it and how I hate The Fiend and I'm over it. I just think there's a lot to talk about in this match. And it was quick, and I actually liked it.
Whoa.
And it had some moments where my mouth was agape. So I think I'm just going to go straight to it. When Alexa comes back and she has that whatever, like crown of thorns type thing, and all that black liquid is pouring down her head, and it was just as The Fiend was about to do the Sister Abigail, I was like, oh my fucking God, that looks amazing. She's Sister Abigail now. This is brilliant. Turns out that's probably not actually the case, which is a bit of a shame having seen Raw. But I really liked that moment, and I thought it was really cool. And I liked a lot of the Jack in the Box stuff, and I thought it was quite quick, and I thought they did some wrestling at the start, which surprised me. And I didn't mind it. I thought it added to the variety of the show, and I'm trying to get all my positive stuff out before you 3 rip it to shreds. But that moment in particular was really cool. Go on, John.
I thought you chose this match to go as the key match so you could rub it in our faces like, see guys, I told you this was all bullshit and now this is bullshit.
No, I was really excited to sit down and watch night 2 because I enjoyed night 1. I was like, here we fucking go. Let's watch some more wrestling with fans. WrestleMania, yes. And so I was feeling positive going into this match, and I enjoyed it because it didn't. We were saying this can't drag. It's Randy versus the Fiend. It's going to drag. It's going to be boring. And for me, it didn't outstay its welcome. It was a bit fun, a bit different, and I enjoyed it.
I like the Fiend's entrance. I thought that was really cool and made him look like a badass. And I like the bit where he no-sold, like on the announce table. That was really cool.
Yeah, straight to the claw.
But I just don't get it. I don't get what this is. I just don't get it. I don't know where this is going. I don't know what it means.
There was
bullshit.
no like coherence to it, was there? Like I really enjoyed the pomp of the entrance, the Jack in the Box, Alexa Bliss's part in it, all the weird stuff. I really enjoyed all that. The match itself was, there. I didn't think it was that great at all. Then Alexa Bliss was there, black was pouring on her head, and the match was over.
Yeah,
And then they were gone, and people were booing because they were expecting something else to happen, but they were just gone. And there was no, it felt like there was going to be a payoff. What's the payoff? It's going to be like theatrics. It's not going to be in the match. There's no payoff. They've gone. We're moving on.
So intriguing. I was intrigued.
No, that's not
it's
intriguing.
WrestleMania.
That's
This
awful.
is the bullet point. This is the finish.
I don't
punctuation.
subscribe to that personally. I get it. Honestly, it's a valid point. I don't think that's bullshit. It makes sense.
But I think this is the bullet point. Like on Raw, Alexa Bliss is now like Lily or something like that.
She's got a puppet called Lily.
Yeah.
And they Bray's back in the funhouse.
So
Randy's doing some other bullshit.
The upshot of all of this is that now, not only do you have kind of subpar wrestler Bray Wyatt kind of doing an intriguing gimmick, but kind of not really delivering anything with it, you've now got a separate wrestler who actually can wrestle doing the same gimmick, but completely removed from Bray Wyatt. It's toilet. It's so bad.
I've enjoyed quite a lot of the Fiend stuff and the Alexa Bliss stuff with the Fiend, but I just thought this was a mess. I really did.
But how did you react to the Alexa bit with the black stuff? That was cool.
I thought it looked really cool. Like, as a visual, it looked really cool.
So it was okay.
But then, what does that mean though? Like, what?
Yeah.
Did you think she's Sister Abigail? Finally.
I didn't really care, to be honest. It's kind of... I know how bad that sounds, but I really don't. They've gotten so up into the lore of the Bray Wyatt mythos and everything around it, and I'm just a little bit like, man, I just don't really care. You're just a kind of a juggalo wrestler.
The thing is, though, the point is there's no real structure or plan or story arc, I think, to the Bray stuff. If they actually didn't worry about the wrestling and just built up into this fabulous, lights turning off, crazy shit happening, if they just lent into that and added some sort of structure to why it's happening,
exactly,
we could clue into. It doesn't have to give us all the answers, but at least we can clue into something.
Exactly. I feel about Bray Wyatt the same way I feel about Lost, where it was the first couple of seasons of it.
Lost.
The first couple of seasons are this is really intriguing. I want to know what's going on. And then by season 5 or whatever, it's just you don't know what you're doing, do you? You're just asking questions.
Yeah, let's just pose question after question after question and not answer anything. I was fucked off with that show. I'd never made it to the end.
I rewatched Lost. It was when we all worked together. I got them all off Joe, who was our tech guy, and he gave me loads of stuff. And I loved rewatching it. There's so many great characters that it does lose its way, I know. But then I still enjoyed how it ended. Anyway,
says everyone who actually got to the end, because they can't bear to say it was awful after staying all the way through.
That's really hit a nerve. No, I said in the preview episode, I don't care about this. So most people probably feel the same. Most people listening do feel the same, I'm sure. But I think I was just in a good headspace. I was quite happy that it came first.
See, I don't want to take that away from you, to be honest. I appreciate that. It's good that it entertained, even if I don't agree.
Yeah, the Fiend's meant to be this unstoppable monster. He can't win a wrestling match. When's the last time he won a wrestling match?
I think
his getting up as well, like his no selling was like there for a couple of bits, then he took something that wasn't that bad and he stayed down, and I was like, where's the logic to this? I need something to grasp onto.
The problem as well is that it felt like, for me, Randy Orton was just very much, could have been any wrestler in this match. It didn't feel like the vicious legend killer Randy Orton. This felt like the kind of, let's just do 3 draping DDTs and an RKO and then get out of there.
Can't be arsed.
Collect a paycheck, Randy Orton.
Although I suppose it was written like the last time they fought, he burnt down the house and Sister Abigail and then beat him at WrestleMania. And now he burnt him alive and then beats him again at WrestleMania.
I would say Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt is 0 for 2 at WrestleManias.
Yeah, fair. Again, I'm not saying it was a match of the night or anything like that. I just enjoyed it.
That's good that you enjoyed it. I think if you liked Lost, you will like The Fiend and this match.
I'd be interested to hear if any listeners enjoyed it. So please get in touch and we can start a little WhatsApp group and we slag these guys off. And it'll be really brilliant and we'll become besties. Okay? So that was the first key match that I particularly wanted to talk about. The other two make much more sense in terms of being key. And we're going to start off with the Raw Women's Championship. This was a match between Asuka and Rhea Ripley. Brett, you previewed this one. What did you make of it?
Yeah, so like I took a shot at the lack of any story in this match. But even though I did that, I did think that I was really hyped for it because I thought it was going to be a good match, like a great match because of the two people partaking. But actually this, like, it started off for me really good and like it had good pacing, it, like, you know, and then it slowed down massively and it lost all like enjoyment with that as well. I don't know, it just like hit the brakes too much and it never seemed to put the foot on the gas again. And then it just like ended with the ends that I expected because, you know, WWE just think Asuka's the placeholder champion when they've got no idea on what to do with the women's championship.
You agree, John?
Yeah, like it wasn't a bad match, but it just failed to get going for me. Like it actually kind of felt a little short. Like when the ending came, it didn't feel like that should have been the ending. It just felt, oh, it's ended now.
Yeah, I think this match should have had a bit more backwards and forwards, a little bit more kind of... Yeah. Definitely a lot more time afforded to it. Because ultimately it just kind of... It felt like a bit of a by the numbers kind of let's get Rhea over sort of match.
Yeah.
I love this match. I definitely think it ended...
Did you definitely watch the right WrestleMania?
I thought it ended way too soon. And could have definitely had another 5 minutes, maybe even another 10 minutes, because I was loving it. I was really enjoying it. Yes, it had the really hot start. It was really intense. Obviously, these are two women who don't care, kicking the shit out of people and taking a shit kicking. And I could watch the two of them wrestle all night, and that was the only downside for me, is that it just suddenly ended with the Riptide.
Loved Asuka's DDT off the apron.
Yes.
Yeah,
brutal.
That was cool.
Yeah, and just... I don't know. I love both of their characters.
Yeah.
I love both of their looks. I think Rhea Ripley is just a fucking badass. She had a great entrance. She was clearly over the moon, like coming out, smiling her face off. And I just really enjoyed it.
Is this
the whole spectacle of it?
A little bit mean. I think Rhea Ripley's a bit of a try-hard metal fan.
I mean, it's hard to tell because obviously her gimmick when we first saw her in the Mae Young Classic was
blonde hair,
like
long blonde hair,
long
she,
blonde
like
hair.
Red outfit.
But that might have been her thinking that's what she needed to do to be a success in WWE. Who knows? I don't know.
Far be it from me to call anyone a try-hard fan at anything, I guess.
I do like her entrance music.
I think she comes across as really legit now, personally. And yeah, like I said, I really liked it.
I think it was a good match.
It was not bad. I think it suffered from the fact I was so psyched. This was probably the match I was most excited about of the whole card, except for the main event maybe, and it just didn't live up to that.
I think it was even that DDT to the outside for me that was like the turning point where it seemed like maybe that had taken quite a lot out of both of them, like that bump, because it just seemed like they were lacking after that point.
I actually think perhaps... I am comparing this match to Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks, which I think kind of, it had the crowd, it had the kind of occasion, it had the actual ability in ring. And that's not to say Asuka and Rhea Ripley don't have the ability in ring, but I feel like kind of comparatively, this match feels like a poor man's version of Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks.
Well, I mean, it's the women's title match with two feuds that didn't really have an awful lot going into them as into the pay-per-view.
It just felt like one wrestling match really told a story throughout the match, and it built and built and built, and the other didn't so much.
I think what is good for WWE overall, though, is that this is quite exciting, the fact that we are now starting to see like a new generation of women's wrestling come to fruition for WWE. Like, kind of, we had an incredible generation with like the 4 Horsewomen and Asuka all kind of coming through at the same time, and now
a little bit of Ronda sprinkled in.
But now, like, kind of, that was what, 5-6 years ago, maybe not for Ronda, but like for the rest of them. But like now, all of a sudden, we've got a new crop of women's wrestlers coming through, and not only main eventing but winning at WrestleMania, and it's like a real testament to how well WWE have done by women's wrestling.
And they've like clearly got the best, like, the best women's wrestlers in the world, and 100%. they really need to like give more of them more time on the shows, more time, like, because they should celebrate that properly by giving them their dues 100%. And their time.
Yeah, I mean, I was convinced that this match was going to be a dusty finish with Io Shirai making a WrestleMania debut.
I thought maybe Ronda might make an appearance. I thought something was going to be something weird.
I thought the breastfeeding Becky.
Becky Lynch, I think, teased something on Instagram or something, had people thinking she was making a comeback. Yeah,
it was like a picture of her doing some pull-ups.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, shit. Well, I really appreciated, this isn't about this match, but the fact, I think they are taking women's wrestling seriously, and I think like the fact that day one was headlined by Bianca and Sasha when it could easily have been Bobby and Drew. But I love the fact that actually both Royal Rumble winners got to headline WrestleMania like it's supposed to be. And they haven't always done that in the last few years. So that's a nice touch. But yeah, so many great women when you think about NXT as well. The idea of Io Shirai on the main roster is very exciting for me. I was talking to John about that before we started recording. John's not so sure that they'll do well by her, but we'll have to just wait and see. She's just so fucking good.
She's amazing. Like, one of the best in-ring performers. Like, phenomenal.
One of the best, but not the best.
Not the best.
Ever of all time with any sex. Anyway, so that was the Raw Women's Championship match, and the final key match we're going to talk about, and I'm sure we'll go deep because a lot happened. Was the Universal Championship triple threat match between Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Roman Reigns. Sam.
This was a banger of a match.
This match was so good.
This was WrestleMania quality.
Match of the weekend for me. This was my number one match.
I think I have to agree. I know Bianca Sasha was amazing, but this was another level.
Brett is shaking his head saying no and...
No. Both main events were fucking amazing, but this one had the edge.
Hey, Brett, why didn't you like it?
Fucking had to say just as I was doing my punchline.
I said as if I was celebrating your punchline. It was a good punchline.
Yeah, there was another pre-prepared joke, guys.
We can see you reading them.
We could tell.
I used to love this pod before we did video chat. I had fucking all sorts of notes, and I used to be able to read off my gags as if they were off the top of my head.
We lost the first meltdown, so we're keeping this one.
Can we get you to shit all over the match so that we can then wax lyrical about it?
The thing is, I'm not going to shit all over the match. It was a good match. I did enjoy it. I think I was by this point, and the 2 nights of wrestling, I think I was just like lagging myself. It was too much. I was sort of like tapping out, going, I'm done.
I watched all of NXT TakeOver and then all of this, and I was still pumped and flying.
Like 5 hours.
Yeah, not back to back.
Oh, okay.
But this week, like every night this week has been full of wrestling.
Like
I've loved it.
there was plenty to enjoy, but do you know? I think it's not that he was bad in it or anything like that. I'm just
What you
still
saying here,
not
Brett?
on the Roman Reigns
Come on.
train.
my God.
No, Brett.
You saying you don't want head at the table?
How do I kick him out of this Skype chat? Is there a
How can you not be?
Just
That was one of the coolest endings to a
What
match
can
I've seen
Roman
in a long
Reigns
time.
do to get over with you?
I don't know. I just don't vibe with him.
Don't like him, and that's just not ever going to change.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't like you, actually.
Well, it's not that I don't like him as a person. I just
He's going to send his cousin to your house
Yeah.
and get you super
Yeah.
kicked.
Jey Uso's gonna. Damn it! I'd quite like to meet him though. So I like the Usos. So
I
send
think
them
this
round.
is the funny thing, actually, is that I think Roman Reigns actually comes across as a really likable, nice person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think he's a nice person.
I know everything he's done for charity. It's just
I
unbelievable. It's
Okay.
character
His-
assassination.
Haters gonna hate.
All right.
Yeah.
So, other than Brett trolling Roman Reigns,
Sorry,
This-
Roman. I
this
probably
match-
would love you as a person.
first of all, I could not believe the pop Edge got for his entrance.
Yeah.
Yes. Loved it.
Like, I
Biggest
thought
pop of the weekend,
it
potentially.
probably was. Yeah, I thought Daniel Bryan would have the biggest pop, but no.
He got a few boos.
Yeah,
he?
people. Yeah, there were
Yeah.
people chanting no and booing Daniel Bryan.
Very weird.
Fucking outrageous. Man's legend.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Daniel Bryan
Yeah.
was absolutely on fire for this match.
He was so fast in
was.
this match. Like, he was constantly... Like, there was a moment where he looked like he was taken out for a while, but
Yeah.
like straight through. He was through the ropes like minutes later, like seconds
I mean,
later.
This was the kind of match that made me think that Daniel Bryan is the best wrestler in the world, regardless of sex. John.
That's a callback to night one, listener, if you haven't heard it.
Second best wrestler.
Just because we have in all these matches, we've just been going all over the place and calling out bit, but let's treat this with the respect it deserves. The greatest match of all time.
Let me use my notes. I've got notes. Let me use them.
Oh, for fuck's sake! The grief I've got for fucking making notes.
For preparing.
146 episodes in, the amount of work I put into this fucking podcast.
Adam meltdowns. One an episode. Come on,
this
man.
is too enjoyable. The Adam meltdown.
I know. You know, I'm not actually. I mean, if I actually had a meltdown, then that would be it. I probably wouldn't. Yeah, it probably would be the end of the podcast.
See, the listeners aren't going to get all the texts after this, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, John's twirling his beard, thinking I'm uncomfortable now.
Yeah, let's move. Come on, Adam, let's go through it. 'cause
All
there
I
was
wanted to do-
amazing moments in this that I do want
Yeah,
to talk
go
about.
on.
Well, I just want to talk about all the entrances because Sam has talked about the pop that Edge got, and obviously we mentioned the fact that Bryan's wasn't as big and there were some boos there. I love the fact that Roman made us wait.
Yep.
That was so fucking cool. And then when he walks through with Paul Heyman looking at him the way that he was,
Yeah.
and Jey Uso losing his shit, looking cool as fuck, and then we got that amazing camera that
Yeah,
actually worked.
that looks so good, that camera angle, didn't it?
Yeah.
It made it look almost like a computer game, like I was playing
Yeah.
like WWE 2K or something.
Complete with the ceremonial chili peppers.
And Roman got booed.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, it was a boo that you kind of didn't feel awkward hearing for Roman Reigns. It was a beautiful moment and I loved it. You can talk about the match however you like now. I just wanted to make sure we covered all the entrances because it was really great.
I mean, I think what they did with this match was really good because they started it off exactly how you would expect, which is essentially Jey Uso being a shit
Yeah.
and sort of just running interference and eventually kind of being carted off from the was it a DDT that Edge did to him on the stairs?
Yeah, on the steps,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it looked rough.
It looked
the
really
medics came out, yeah. Because they don't usually bring medics out for stuff like that. So
No.
I was, for a second, I was like, is he actually hurt?
Yeah,
It worked
which
well.
obviously set up the ending.
Yeah,
of the
there were a
match.
couple of moments though that I did really enjoy in this match. One was definitely the spear on spear between Edge and
So
Roman,
cool.
where they sort of shoulder tackled each other mid ring.
I wondered if they were going to do that. The night before, I was like, "Oh, what would be cool is if they did that." And I thought they can't because that's too dangerous.
It is.
That's
It
like
must
American
be so
footballers.
dangerous. Yeah.
It seemed
American
like
footballers jumping each
really
other with no padding.
risky.
Too risky.
Really
It looked good.
risky. But that was a cool moment. And the double
submission.
Say the double yes lock. It was sort of like
Fuck
that. That
yes.
was cool.
The submission, the whole section with that. So Edge comes into the ring with a chair. I think, does Reigns rip it off him and he's just got like a weird piping section off the chair left?
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was just a bit of the chair that had fallen off or if that was planned. Because
I
either
think
way,
the way
it
they
looked great.
used it, like it feels like it's too perfect to have not been gimmicked.
Yeah.
But the double submission was the highlight of this match. Just it was so impactful, and it was just like, oh man, are you really?
It looked fucking painful.
Yeah, it
Again,
really did.
it was like the yes lock in the match with Daniel Bryan where Reigns actually tapped. Like Reigns does a great job of looking like he's really struggling.
But yeah, and then obviously going more or less to the end here with the finish of kind of the idea of bringing in the concerto. Jey Uso kind of gets involved, and then Reigns just concertos them both and then stacks them on top of each other for a pin like an absolute boss.
It was so good. And even before that, like the Edge did some amazing counters. Like he countered a Superman punch midair and a spear. It was, oh my god, this match was off the chain good.
And because we are fucking going all over the shop, you had the yes lock on Reigns that Edge had to save, and then he put the yes lock into Edge, which then Roman made the save. There was just so many elements of this match which just paid off and looked great and were fucking cool, and you just had three wrestlers doing a fucking great job throughout. I thought all three of them,
especially Edge,
did
because I
amazing.
mean he's recently back and he's not like he's wrestling a lot. Like he was phenomenal in this.
He really was, and I think the right person won.
Oh, whole way through I was like, please give me Daniel Bryan.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have loved it if Daniel Bryan won, but I think Roman Reigns is the right person to be champion at this point.
Yeah,
he is money. Like he is the biggest star in the whole of.
He's the
probably
guy.
In the whole of wrestling.
Yeah,
he is the
like,
guy.
I think.
Why take it off him? It makes no sense really to take it off him.
Oh my
He
goodness,
is
I've never
money.
seen Brett
The
so
whole
upset.
of wrestling. No, it's just Adam sounding like John there.
I don't
Roman
think
wrestling.
No,
But as in, he's the guy at the moment. Like, is there a bigger star in wrestling
Kenny Omega.
in terms of money that is maybe being made through merch and just people talking about online,
The Young Bucks.
and the buzz that he's getting?
I reckon I'm enjoying Roman's in-ring stuff at the moment more than Kenny's.
That may be so, but like Kenny and like the Young Bucks are like, you know, as terms of merch and you know, stardom and being over, they're pretty.
Surely these are
surely
two
Reigns
very
is-
like you can't compare the two because they've like the audience share alone is so massively different between AEW and WWE.
No, but I still. But that alone doesn't
not saying
make
he's the best.
Roman like.
He's just the guy,
Yeah,
and he's
man.
performing so well. It's just funny how it doesn't connect
Yeah.
with you, Brett.
I mean,
Yeah,
I completely agree.
not
I
at
think
all.
kind of having Roman Reigns as the champion at the moment makes the most sense, and kind of the way they've booked him, the way they've kind of presented him as this heel has been revitalizing for his career, and it's been really refreshing to see because this is a guy who I think WWE have been holding back with shitty writing for so long.
And to get Roman sucks chance, and for him to get more angry because of that, and then to give shit back to the crowd, it was so good.
The incredible thing here for me is that they don't need Paul Heyman.
No, he's
Paul Heyman
barely
is
there,
a
is he? Like, he
fucking
feels-
passenger to this,
And-
which is
and he-
wild.
I just find him super creepy as well.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it just is.
Yeah.
all his like looks and stuff. I'm just like, oh, you're creepy. I just
I
don't want to
hope
see your face anymore.
One day I can find a girl who looks at me the same way Paul Heyman looks at Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't want that for you. That'd be so weird.
yeah, that would be a wrong one, Sam. That would be
Okay.
so many red flags.
Okay.
Run a mile.
normally
Anyway.
the main event of WrestleMania, it's usually okay, but it's usually a bit disappointing. But we've been treated to two absolute classics. It's unbelievable.
And this had a fucking proper big match feel,
Yep.
didn't it? So hyped
Yeah.
for it when it started happening. And the fact we saw it with fans and the booing and
I'm going to watch it again in a couple of days. I think I'm going to watch both the main events again. I think.
that's why it just had it for me just over the Sasha and Bailey match. Sasha and Bianca match. It's just is just because like we've just listed a lot of great spots, a lot of great things that have happened, and the dynamic between the three and the different characters and the build to it. And it just has that little bit more for me. And like I said, it has the edge. That was the joke I made earlier. If anyone missed it, has the edge on that one because Edge is in this match. Thanks, guys.
Best of the rest.
Best of the rest. Just let me check my notes to see if I've got any jokes coming up that I'm going to want to get ready for. Best of the rest is where we pick out other amazing matches or moments or little bits and bobs that we want to highlight. John, you go first. You didn't get a key match.
No. I'm going to talk about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn because it was the one I was really excited about. And I think the match was really good, but I think it suffered from being a bit too short, and they packed so much into it.
Way too short.
And it felt like a small little indie wrestling match because they were just doing finishes straight out of the bat. Like powerbomb start, then there's a brainbuster on the apron, Michinoku driver, a splash, snapdragon into a brainbuster, haluva kick, super kicks all over the place.
Fishman suplex.
Sami Zayn was on fire in this match, and I was loving every minute of it. And I was so gutted that they just like finished so quickly with the stunner. I was just like, that you've given these guys this chance, give them the time. Like they were just killing it, absolutely killing it.
This is not the match for Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Like kind of. They've got another WrestleMania match in them at some point, and it is not going to be the Logan Paul conspiracy special. Yeah. It will be for a WWE title at some point.
I don't know. I hope so.
I don't think once maybe Vince is gone, and if they're still there, and it's not too long down the line, but Vince is looking a bit plasticine at the moment, so who knows if he is, even still Vince.
Because this match
he might be a homunculus or something,
cyborg. I think this is it just means nothing. That's what I like. At the end of it, I was like, that was a great little match, but it actually means completely nothing.
Kevin Owens stunning Logan Paul was cool though, and Logan Paul did sell it like a champ. Like he really sold it well.
Yeah.
Because this match was apparently 9 minutes, but I wonder if that includes the Logan Paul bit, because it didn't feel 9 minutes.
9 minutes. They fit all that in 9 minutes.
There's so much.
It's a great shout, John, saying like it felt like an indie match. Like you would have fucking popped off hard if that had happened at the Bright Helm.
For me, this match is like a trailer to a really good film. These two are going to make something special in the ring given more time, and they deserve it, and it's just a matter of hopefully they'll get to do it at WrestleMania properly, because I don't think this is a proper demonstration.
But do you worry, like, so say they do get that opportunity, even if that opportunity does come, it's going to come when they're both older and not as capable.
Yeah, maybe.
Perhaps. And then it's not going to be as good because age
now is the time.
The moves that they both put themselves through.
Yeah,
I completely agree. Like now is the time to strike,
it should be now. Yeah,
it will happen in Saudi Arabia in about 15 years.
Yeah, maybe. What's reassuring is that Kevin Owens got a huge bloody pop when he came out. Like the crowd love him. And that's always a good sign.
And he was pumped, and it was fun.
I got to be honest, like the dynamic between these two, I love Sammy as a face and I love Kevin as a heel.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it works this way as well because they're both so unbelievably talented. But
I've really enjoyed Sammy's conspiracy stuff.
It's funny,
and him going off. Really good. It's funny, like even the meme of him dancing. The little gif that's going around. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. So not the best ever, but still a lot of fun. I'm going to go for another match which I thought was fun, and it's going to be the Intercontinental Title Championship match between Big E and Apollo, because, again, I wasn't necessarily expecting a huge amount from this, even though I know both wrestlers are very talented. I was just worried about the gimmick and how that would affect the match. But actually, it just made it sort of more brutal, and I thought the Big E's early spear off the apron.
They went so far.
How can anyone survive Big E coming at you like that? It's absolutely mental. And then just after that, did the Uranagi suplex onto the steel ring steps. Again, that looked mad. To be dropped on those steps from that height, I thought Apollo would have totally bust his shoulder from that. But I just thought it was good fun. I thought the stuff they did with the kendo sticks worked. I thought they didn't dick about too much with that stuff. And then the end was another fun surprise. It was oh, cool. Who's this? And I didn't know. I didn't realise.
You didn't recognise the fact this is the third time that Babatunde has debuted.
Well, I kind of recognised him, but I didn't know where from. I was like, I kind of know that guy, and I know that he was on. What was he on? Raw Underground?
So he debuted in Saudi Arabia at the Greatest Royal Rumble.
He did,
as Babatunde, and the commentary talked about him as if he had been there for years, and I was just like, wait, what alternate world am I living in here? Then he disappeared for ages and came back as Dabba-Kato for Raw Underground, Shane McMahon's failed UFC competitor. But
it worked for this, no?
And now he's back as Commander Aziz, which is basically Bad Luck Fale gimmick. Is that the whole thing here?
Well, is it you say you're worried about the whole gimmick and stuff, and it turning into, some sort of African militia sort of issue just felt like old Sergeant Slaughter days. It didn't feel good.
Okay, I get
at one point it felt like it, the whole Nigerian thing was getting a bit Wakanda, so I was like, okay, I get that. That's, that could be a good way to go. No, we're going to go the militia way. Oh.
You see, at the end, I was thinking, this is good because this will help make Apollo more interesting. He's got the belt
definitely
now.
Done that.
Yeah,
it has definitely done that. Hearing him, even though the accent, this was the first I'd witnessed the accent, so that sort of totally threw me.
But it just seems obscene, doesn't it?
It does. But and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his real name, but his real name is Nigerian and really natural, and yet so they've given him this accent and this whole Nigerian theme, but he's still got the name Apollo Crews, which is very American. It's
just Apollo.
Just Apollo. It just doesn't make sense. But his talking during the match, I was like, I didn't know Apollo had that character side to him because he's been so bland before.
The crazy thing is that before he signed with NXT, he was huge in the indies. He was the next big thing for a long time, and NXT picking him up was a huge coup, and he got moved to the main roster very quickly.
Really quickly. I think the first ever episode of NXT I ever watched was him versus Finn Balor.
There's definitely something in WWE's repackaging of wrestlers that just takes everything that was good about them and throws it away.
But he was nothing before this repackaging. And now he's the Intercontinental Champion and we're talking about him and he's interesting.
No, I'm talking about their repackaging when they signed for WWE.
Okay.
So what took something interesting and they take everything out of him and make him this bland, I don't even know what his character was before.
Nation. He
makes sense.
Yeah.
I was with you though, Adam. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really fun. But like with the Kevin Owens one, it just felt really short. I couldn't believe when it finished. It was I swear the bell just rang. How was it over so quickly?
Yeah. Anyway, any other thoughts? No, fuck it. Let's not bother with any other thoughts on that match because there's still other stuff to talk about. Brett, any other big positives for you?
Mine was Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, so we can move on.
Sam?
All right. I don't want to talk about this guy because I don't like him, but the match itself had a really good finish.
Riddle Sheamus?
Sheamus versus Riddle.
Oh, what? Basically, the dickhead getting kicked in the face.
Yeah.
And losing his belt. That was a nice moment.
This is happening a lot with Riddle. They're letting Riddle beat the shit out of quite a lot, which is interesting. I think people like to see that.
I don't want to talk too much about Riddle just because it's still so problematic, even if WWE don't think so. But the match itself, Sheamus looked really good in it, and I'm happy that he won.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, isn't it? I think we're here to talk about WrestleMania. We can talk about the matches that happened on WrestleMania. It's if we enjoyed the match, which I did as well, I thought it was really good. I loved this work that Sheamus has been doing recently, and I like the fact that they're both really physical. No matter what, we were all big fans of Matt Riddle's wrestling, and he's not like he's become a bad wrestler. So
no, but I have to say, for me, like I literally didn't enjoy it because he was in it. Like for me, it's just taken all enjoyment. Like of what I was saying this while watching it. I was like, I did really like his wrestling, and I liked, you know, his whole shtick, and I just don't enjoy any of it now. Now it's just like really sour.
Fair.
I found that when watching the Devlin match at Takeover, because it was just a bit. But then I feel conflicted because I know what both of these men have been accused of, and I don't know anything else. And we still believe that you should believe the victims that speak out about these things 100%. But then we watch this product, which is consistently full of arseholes who in some cases have murdered people, and we still can rave about things that they've done in the ring. It's such a weird thing. You just can't help but be hypocritical all the time.
It's a difficult line to walk, to be honest. But I think from an objective standpoint, the match was good.
Yeah, I agree. Shame about the botch when Sheamus was climbing up. When he was holding
that was a
Riddle
shame.
and he sort of slipped over the top. Yeah,
I think they did a good job with it, to be honest. Like, kind of recovering it generally. Like I said, the Brogue Kick finish was incredible.
Yeah. Okay. Worst of the rest. Then are we just going to talk about the women's tag title match? Who gives a fuck?
Do you know what the problem with the women's tag team title match is?
It was basically 2 singles matches.
It was 15 minutes long.
Second longest match of the night.
That's disgraceful.
It wasn't good.
Like, it's a bad match with no build. And that's getting more time than Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. What?
I just think Shayna Baszler, like, we fucking used to love Shayna Baszler on NXT, and even when she came to main roster initially, it looked good for her.
There was even some moments in this match, like, because Natalya is, like, you know, she's a good wrestler with a lot, like, in her locker, and there was a moment where her and Shayna were, like, doing some technical wrestling and some counters, and that was good, but the rest of the match wasn't.
That's fucking bullshit. I fucking hated this match so much. Put me in such a bad mood. I hate Nia Jax. I hate Natalya. I hate Tamina. Why are they on a 15 minute match on WrestleMania? Yeah. It's outrageous.
And mean is her middle syllable. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. There was a spot where Nia got up to that top turnbuckle to do the crossbody, and fucking Natalya and Tamina had been standing there for about 20 seconds waiting. Nia is no good, and sometimes I feel like it's like, you know, she's different. She's a different type of wrestler, but I think she's regressed.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I just could not stand anything about this match. I do not share the same reverence around Natalya as you do, Brett. I think she is literally there on name alone and is one of, if not the worst women's wrestler in.
I think she knows the game. I think she's useful in a rumble and all that stuff.
I don't think she can execute it or do it very well. I think she's at the same level as Lana, who seems to.
Oh man, that's accurate.
She's a good wrestler, and she's like, she has a place on like TV and stuff.
And she's got a lot of moves in her locker. Like,
I have no time for Natalya as a wrestler, and do you know what? It's a tough one because I think she's a really good person who is really healthy to be around, like, for the women's division. Like, I think a lot of people look up to her from a experience point of view.
A lot of them have been, like, training with her to learn, you know, all that she's got.
But it's like, I just think she's awful. I just don't think she... Like, it's kind of similar to how Albert is, like, the head trainer for NXT. It's like, kind of, let's be honest, no one ever wanted to watch A-Train or Tensai or whatever. He was a crap wrestler. He's a great trainer. And I think maybe Natalya...
Had a great back, though. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like football. You know, Arsene Wenger was a lower league footballer. Alex Ferguson didn't pull up any trees, did he, as a player, necessarily? Quite often is the way. Natalya doesn't, you know.
Zidane?
They're two separate things. Well, Zidane, it's easy to manage Real Madrid, isn't it? I know there are examples, Guardiola and, you know, many others, but anyway. God. And what about Tamina slamming Nia? I mean, no disrespect.
That was impressive.
A woman of It wasn't good. I thought it looked absolutely shit.
That didn't count. That didn't count.
Because Tamina couldn't get her up and Nia couldn't get herself up, and then it just looked bad. And there's no problem with that. That's a hard thing to do. Just don't attempt it at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Or like the splash from Tamina as well. Like, it just does not look good.
Yeah.
Does not look good.
Anyway, it's a shame because, I mean, as everybody who listens knows, we do love women's wrestling. So we're not just slamming into the women's match because
This was
it was
bad,
shit.
though, man. This was just bad.
This wasn't
was
bad,
bad
because they were women. This was bad because it was a rubbish match.
Yeah.
A rubbish, long match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor booking, and poor booking in, the lead up to it as well. So
It was actually 5 seconds longer than the tag turmoil match.
5 seconds. Incredible. That is mad. Okay. Any other worst of the rest stuff? We haven't talked about any Hall of Fame bits and bobs.
It's good to see RVD. Love to see RVD.
I enjoyed all of those. Yeah. I mean, there was even the RVD promo with Great Khali and Matt Riddle with the RVD rolling papers. I mean, yeah.
Also, how is Great Khali in the Hall of Fame? Can someone explain to me that?
Does he have his own legs?
All a part of the build-up to
Great
bring back the
Khali
Punjabi prison.
was there, protesting and striking with all the Indian farmers. So, he's a good person. He's a good egg. So he deserves it.
He does a lot for kind
Yeah.
of poorer communities and stuff.
Is he a good wrestler, though?
Well, he's in that Titus O'Neil category of people who do good things.
Have you seen the size of him?
As we just said, Natalia is great out in the performance centre. Doesn't mean we can't say she's absolutely shit in other areas. Anyway, I quite enjoyed the Hall of Fame stuff because it meant I didn't have to watch the Hall of Fame to see who got the rings, and we got little bits of speeches. And they had I thought it was pretty fucking great, the lineup this year.
Can I just say that I would feel very nervous in a time of pandemic standing so close to X-Pac.
I mean, Scott Hall looks
I feel like he's
very
aged
old.
so dramatically over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I
feel
mean,
for the guy.
he's looked quite bad for quite a few years now.
Yeah, I love a bit of Scott Hall. Speaking of murderers, I mean...
Yeah, watching that stuff with Diamond Dallas Page, and when he went there to get rehabbed, he looked like, oh my days.
There's that
He
amazing
looked so
clip
bad.
from that documentary where they're doing a move where they have to swing their legs, and they're videoing it, and you hear this weird cranking noise as they're doing it, and the instructor's going, what is that noise? And Scott Hall just goes, that's my hip. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, because he turned up in a wheelchair or something.
Yeah,
didn't
he was in
'Cause
a
couldn't-
bad way.
Bad place.
Anyway, Big Daddy Cool was there, so he probably tore a quad. That's the Hall of Fame.
Good stuff. Any other worst of the rest? No, let's just do star performers then, where we pick out our MVP for the night. John.
Oh, I want to say Daniel Bryan, but it's got to be Roman. It has to be Roman.
Sam.
Yeah, I'm going to go along with Roman on this one.
I am backing you with this. I also wrote down Roman. As John says, it has to be Roman. Brett.
I'm going to be the one person to not go with that. It's Sami Zayn, because I loved it. I loved his part.
We all knew you were never going to say Roman. Okay, nice. Overall rank time, where we give the pay-per-view a score out of 10, or at least this night of the pay-per-view. What was the average for night one, Sam?
8. Straight up 8.
Which is the score I gave it. And this pay-per-view, I'm going to give an 8.5 because I enjoyed it a little bit more than night one. And all in all, I loved WrestleMania this year. I really enjoyed watching it all. I think a lot of it was to do with the fact that the fans were back. It felt like a proper event and a celebration. And there were some great matches. There were quite a lot of great matches. John?
I find this really hard because actually I didn't like night 2 anywhere near as much as night 1, but that main event was
Doesn't sound like you liked anything as much as night 1.
I'm going to go 8. I'll go 8 because that main event, I think without the main event it's a 7, but that main event puts up to 8.
Sam?
I think this is... Okay, I'm going to be generous here and say I think it was a 6, but I think it's a generous 6 at best.
Okay. And Brett?
I was going to give my second 0.5 and go with 6.5, but maybe I'll go for the 6. No, I'll give it a 6.5. It was definitely a full point less than night 1.
So WrestleMania Night 2, 7.25. That is still a decent score.
Yeah. Interesting. What did night 2 last year get, Sam?
6.75.
Wow.
So we had a drop off last year too. Fascinating stuff. Yeah. Okay. But all in all, clearly an awful lot of stuff to talk about, and the stuff that each of us loved. Like, we all enjoyed some of these matches and moments. So hopefully the listeners felt the same. We can find out what some of them thought after this quick break.
Oh, no. Oh, Kevin Owens onto the hardest part of the ring.
Kevin Owens' plan completely backfired.
My guy's back in the ring.
Before we get into this, John, so sorry, got to do it, mainly because I got 100% record. Let's have a look at our predictions for night 2. John, you predicted The Fiend would win in Randy Orton versus The Fiend.
That's not my fault. That's bad booking. Like, you can't blame that on me.
Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Brett, you predicted a Sami win. Not doing great here. No. Brett, your second match was Rhea versus Asuka. You predicted a Rhea win. And then the Universal Championship, I predicted Roman would retain, and he did. 2 out of 2. Okay, listeners, let's hear what they thought.
Okay, so we've got a good list of comments, but quite long, so I edited them down slightly. So Carl Luckhurst has been in touch. He says, Night 2 was a little more disjointed. Fiend match was strange and unsure where it's going, even more unsure after watching Raw. Women's tag match was too long and surprised heels versus heels. I was expecting a team to be added. Kevin Owens versus Sami was hard-hitting and what was expected. Sheamus versus Riddle was a fight and a great ending with a bro kick of the moonsault. Women's title match was okay for what it was, despite little build-up apart from Rhea turning up and demanding a title shot. Main event was another great story with some great visuals, including the crossface yes lock with the chair leg and Roman pinning both. Be interesting where they go from here at WrestleMania Backlash in 3 weeks' time.
Oh, Roman pinning both was so great. I love that. I love that so much.
And finally, Graham Hughes, Fiend and Orton. The entrance was too long, match too short, weird finish. Who knows what's next? I think that sums it up so perfectly. Thank you. Women's tag match seemed like a reason just to have Tamina and Nia face off, and all Natalya got was a bust lip. Owens versus Sami was a pairing that would always deliver some hard-hitting spots, really got the crowd going. Riddle and Sheamus brought the violence with heavy and physical hits. This was a great match. Big E and Apollo provided some big bumps. This rivalry will continue. That match needed more time. It was going in good places, that match, but just short.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you to those two for getting involved on the listener comments. We could, of course, go and have a look at how the listeners fared in our predictions, but we won't. We'll spare you the blushes because I doubt any of them got 100%, like me. Although they only did one each, so I'm sure there will be some 100%ers there.
Also, you didn't have to predict the Drew Bobby Lashley match.
Yeah, we just got what we were given.
Yeah, okay.
Also,
we chose.
that was probably the most slam dunk one of all of them, right? We all were like, no, there's no way Bobby's taking that.
Unbelievable stuff.
All right, next podcast. We're having a week off next week, and then we're back with a quiz.
Oh, shit. Oh, I thought it was Undertaking. Oh, boy.
Sam's in the hot seat.
Yeah.
You've had some time off work, and I know there's been an awful lot of wrestling to watch, so you probably haven't done any of the quiz, but have you been thinking about it?
Oh, yeah. I've been thinking about the quiz. I've got plans.
Ooh.
I've got things in place. I've got ideas.
Is there a chance we might be playing instruments?
Yeah, it's a very high chance you'll be playing instruments. You might even be given some homework for the quiz this time.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Brett's already got enough work that he's doing all hours of every day. Going to break him.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I hope it's watching every single Roman Reigns match of the last year.
Oh, God.
It won't. It'll be banging on pans, but recording yourself ahead of time. Cool.
I'm fine with that. Okay, brilliant. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So get your pens and your papers ready for that and do some revision because the listeners, we always encourage you to get involved as well. If anybody wants to suggest any rounds or has got some particularly difficult questions they want to send in, then they just need to send that to Sam's individual email address, which he'll put out on social media. But what is our social media and our email, Brett?
People can send their emails to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com, or they can catch us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We are at hardestpartspod.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to listen. If you listen to both episodes, we really appreciate it. It would be weird to listen to just one, let's face it. Please rate and review and tell all your friends about this podcast. Until we come back for the quiz, my name is Adam. Thanks for listening. Goodbye, Sam.
See you later.
Goodbye, John.
Bye, guys.
And goodbye, Brett.
Bye.
That was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest